ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਸਟੀਫਨ ਲੀਚੇ ਨੇ ਐਲਾਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਹਾਇਰ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਈ ਵੱਡਾ ਖਰਚ ਕਰਨ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਲੀਚੇ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਨਾਲ ਦੋ ਫਾਇਦੇ ਹੋਣਗੇ। ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਹਾਇਰ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਨੂੰ ਹੁੰਗਾਰਾ ਮਿਲੇਗਾ ਅਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਸਪੇਸਿਸ ਵੀ ਵਧਾਈਆਂ ਜਾਣਗੀਆਂ। ਸਟੀਫਨ ਲੀਚੇ ਨੇ ਸਕੂਲ ਰੀਓਪਨਿੰਗ ਦੀ ਰਣਨੀਤੀ ਬਾਰੇ ਵੀ ਦੱਸਿਆ।
Yesterday, I put out a memo to school boards that essentially allow them, based on their request, to have a bit more flexibility when it comes to the reopening of school. The request is really to minimize having, hundreds of students on the first day of class, even though we're staggering start times and bus times and recess. And the end of the day, everything is being staggered. The semestering is changing in high school. But the bottom line is, notwithstanding that change, we've also said to them we're allowing them to stagger the start for the first week, meaning if they want to do kindergarten and grade 1 on day 1 and then introduce the grade 2s and 3s in the next day and sort of build that up to Friday, that is fair. And of course, we understand the principle behind it, which is to minimize contact to maintain the integrity of these cohorts as they get into class. So that flexibility is being provided, and it's also being bolstered, to be fair, by additional investment, by unlocking that $500 million we did yesterday to reduce those classroom sizes, to increase spacing, and to support ventilation improvement. Because based on the public health available research that we have, air quality and flow is important. And it was, in fact, one of the top requests and one of the top areas of priority made by public health. And so we put an additional $50 million in, trying to come up with a Made in Ontario model, given that there's been many challenges around the world in virtually every reopening. I mean, there isn't a democracy on earth, with some exception really, that hasn't had challenges getting children back in. And I think that's an admission that we have to be flexible, we have to be evidence-based, and we have to be listening. And I think what this government has demonstrated is that we're trying to do that every step of the way. Each and every week we've been up here, building upon our plan, leading the nation in masking. I understand Nova Scotia just put out a masking policy that follows Ontario. We are the only province to mask from grade 4 and up. Now they are following that with some augmentation to their protocol. The fact is, we are leading with the recognition there's always more we can and will do. And I think the Premier has been very clear that we'll continue to do more based on the evidence, based on the science, just to keep these kids safe. We've been clear in our guidance. We want 1 meter of distancing supported by masking, and the other layers of prevention that have been supported by public health. What I have also been clear is, before the announcement yesterday, is this government stood alone in the country in adding $30 million for the purpose of hiring more educators, because we recognize that may be required, particularly, as you noted, in some of those classes that may have larger class sizes. And what we did yesterday, following the request of many boards in the province, is unlocking cash on hand, money that is ready to be spent, a rainy day fund, if you will. And I would argue this is the realization of that rainy day. We should put that funds to work. Let's ensure we do whatever it takes to maximize that spacing. $500 million is a massive infusion of investment that's going to help those school boards do one of two things, either with more hiring of educators or with more spacing, and in some they're going to do all the above. That's why we provided the latitude to enable them to do what's right for their community based on the risk assessment, based on the local health authority that's going to have an opinion as well about how to maximize spacing. But the consensus position from public health has been you have to do a multitude of actions, Cynthia. And I know I've mentioned this before, but it's important to note that the layers of prevention that we've introduced, from masking to testing, to screening, to the unique addition of public health nurses in our schools, to a $100 million net investment in cleaning of buses in schools starting this September, a one-time, one-year infusion of investment.